Okay, guys, everything should be working fine now. For some reason, I had to adjust the settings. Welcome to the 22nd ever live chat on the channel. I try to do these every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Let me know if everything with the audio sounds great. I should be fine now. For some reason, the microphone got deleted off OBS. I don't know. I'm still learning how to stream. But on the live stream every Wednesday, I answer all your MMA related questions, talk about topics that I haven't made any dedicated videos on yet. It is September 15th, 2021, and I currently have 1,183 subscribers. So if you guys, this is the first time finding my channel, make sure to subscribe. Also, guys, if you're in here already, do not forget to like the stream. And also, if you're looking for a way to support the channel a little bit more, you can look at the link in the description, become a member. You can get access to custom emojis as well as loyalty badges and behind the scenes photos. So I have no idea what happened with my microphone. I literally had to delete it off OBS and re-add it because for some reason it was not working. It's infuriating. It's infuriating to me, Issa, too. But what's going on, Blaze Sports? What's going on, French Fries? What's going on, Issa? Your eyes turned red. Oh man, that's hilarious. But there's a lot to talk about today. You guys can put your questions in the chat real quick. I want to discuss. Well, there's plenty of things. First off, Nate Diaz. He says he wants to return in November, December. We're going to talk about that. There's talk of Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal. We're going to talk about that. UFC 266 is only a little over a week away. It's not this Saturday, but it's next Saturday. We're going to talk about that. We might get into UFC 270 and talk about what might be the main event. UFC 270 is the pay-per-view event in January of 2022. Also listed, I list a few topics when I schedule the stream. We can talk about Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. I know people are dying to talk about that. Bellator 266, Phil Davis versus Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero making his Bellator debut. And I'm sure you guys will come up with a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, French fries, it was weird. It was infuriating. It's so annoying because most of the time I go through and I check everything and make sure everything looks good. Everything looked good like normal. Somehow I always have a problem. But let me grab these waters and scoot them over, and then I'm going to take a drink. And then we'll get to some of your guys' questions and some of the topics which I have in the title so far. And the thing is, most of the time on those streams, I can't figure out how to fix it. I got to delete everything off and then retry. I hope the audio sounds good. Okay, what do you think of the Brendan Schaub and Ariel Helwani beef? I think Brendan Schaub is a total idiot. He's not a very smart guy. He says a lot of, I heard this and I heard that. And he's just one of those guys who I feel like he doesn't know much about MMA. I feel like he's a genuine meathead. I feel like Joe Rogan has given him a platform, and that's why he's as popular as he is today. I'm ashamed to use the word popular, but that's, people watch his channel, but I don't think he's very intelligent when it comes to the sport of MMA. I feel like, he comes out and he says a lot of, I heard this, I heard that. And we know he heard it from Joe Rogan. I don't even think he really has any friends in MMA, honestly. But from the little I've seen of it, and I don't know every detail, but Brendan Schaub keeps perpetuating a story out there, and Ariel doesn't like it. So Ariel's calling him out in the public domain. Apparently Ariel, now that he does not work for ESPN anymore, is more willing to, get into squabbles with other people. So I like that about Ariel now. I've never been a massive fan. I mean, Ariel's the best interviewer out there in MMA. But he's always been, and I'm not really trying to hate on him, but he's always been more of like a drama queen. He's really into the drama and not really less about the fights. But, from what I've seen, if a guy is out there, crapping on your career and saying certain things that you believe are not true or are not true, I'm 100% on your side to call that person out and say, you know what? Who do you think you are going out there and pushing this story fictitious story that you heard through who knows who. And, I don't like that at all. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm always a fan, and I always will be a fan of the truth. You should be honest. I just I feel like Brendan will eventually fade away into obscurity. I don't know how long it will take, but we will see. He gets a little bit of notoriety from, just being with Joe Rogan and being friends with him. I think years ago when he says, "How do you think you would do against Cain Velasquez?" And Joe Rogan said, Brendan Schaub said, "I think you'd be surprised." He said, "I think you'd be surprised because I think he fuck you up." And just being on Joe Rogan's platform and how big Joe Rogan is, he turned Brendan Schaub into what he is today. I personally avoid all his content. I would rather go watch an old woman on YouTube knitting before I watch any of Brendan Schaub's content at all. But that's just my personal opinion. If you like him, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm not trying to shit on anyone. I'm just saying, how I personally feel. And I just basically, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my entire feelings towards it. You shouldn't be saying anything, especially when you're on a massive platform, that you're pretty sure that is not true and not accurate. Especially, hold on a second, I just got something in my eye. How the hell did this happen? Especially, when you have a platform so big and you're out there if what you're saying doesn't achieve anything and you're not even sure if it's true, why say it? That's just the way I am. I'm just always about telling, the truth and what you honestly believe. That's why I'll talk candidly about fights just like Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann this weekend. I guarantee, and I have not looked, I don't have time to look, but I guarantee you go to multiple MMA channels, whether they're big, they're small, they say, "Oh yeah, we got a great night of fights this Saturday." And that's not really that all that accurate. I just don't believe that. And I will never lie to you. I will never say, even if it's an unpopular opinion, I will never say I am so excited for this fight, and in reality, it's a garbage fight, and then I'm not excited for it. People lie. People are disingenuous all the time, and I also think that's what's helped my channel a bit. That people seem to understand I'm not coming on here and trying to act like somebody I'm not. I'm just giving you my honest opinions. I'm just being myself. I'm not trying to pretend that I am somebody I'm not. In real life, this is exactly how I am. Maybe a little bit more profanity in real life, but the YouTube doesn't really like that. So I try to steer away from that. Also, I'm trying to steer away from that in real life anyway. So, DJ versus Rod Tang, weird rules. I did see that. It's going to be like MMA one round, Muay Thai another, MMA another round, Muay Thai another. I think that's very, very interesting. And I really think that's a cool thing for the sport. I don't know what exactly is the point of it, but it sounds like fun. I'll probably tune in for that. I think that's really, really cool, because I would like to see more like that. And that's kind of a freak show in a weird way. But at the same time, I find it to be interesting. Nobody's ever done that before, as far as I know. Do you think Buckley can bounce back after another KO loss in the UFC? I don't know, man. Buckley has some decent talent, but he was never the elite of the elite. He got a lot of hype. And again, this is just my honest opinion here. He got a lot of hype because of that KO over the guy's name I can't pronounce. That spinning back kick KO, which was absolutely insanity. As crazy as that KO was, if I never saw it again, I'd be totally okay with that because I cannot stand seeing a replay 1.5 million times. It seems like that's everywhere, and I've just seen it too many times at this point. But anybody can always bounce back. I know he got head kick KO'd in his next fight after he got that KO. Then that guy that head kick KO'd him got head kick KO'd. I can't remember all their names off the top of my head, but you get the point. So it seems like a head kick train going on right there. If Nate beats Luque and Kamaru loses, that takes Diaz to a title fight undeservedly. It doesn't matter even if Usman doesn't lose. If Nate beats Luque, I think the UFC probably gives him a title shot. I don't think he should. In my personal opinion, I would be totally against that, and I'd be making videos going against that. You should never get he's on how many losing streak? 2-fight losing streak. to try to get a title fight off of that is disgusting. Luke Thomas is number one, not Ariel. Yeah, I was a huge fan of Luke Thomas for a while, and then he kind of put me off a little bit, and then I got back into watching him a little bit, and then I kind of just faded off again. But I prefer Luke to Ariel, but Ariel does the best interviews for sure. Rogan gasses Schaub up, and everything he says is wrong, and his comedy sucks. I've never even watched his comedy. I know he says a lot of wrong things pertaining to MMA. I don't feel like he's a very smart MMA analysis. A lot of people always talk, I've seen it on my videos before from people who are being haters. Oh, you never trained a day in your life. You're not a fighter. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm no expert on, everything that comes to MMA, but you can watch MMA and give smart, detailed analysis without being a fighter. And I think the same is in reverse. You can be a fighter and not know jack shit about the sport of MMA. And Brendan Schaub has no idea what he's talking about. He thinks he's some kind of insider, and he's not. It's very annoying. I can't imagine how bad his comedy is. I don't find him to be funny at all. If and when Valentina Shevchenko defeats Lauren Murphy, do you think it's time for her to go outside flyweight and attempt to become double champ? I have been campaigning for Valentina Shevchenko versus Amanda Nunes 3 for as long as I can remember at this point. That's just the fight I want. That's the fight I want. I don't think anyone at strawweight can compete with Valentina. I think Valentina beats Rose if she comes up. I think Valentina beats Wei Li if she comes up. I think obviously Valentina's already beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I think the only challenge for her is to go to 135. But, if I'm Valentina, I probably just hang out at 125 and just beat up nobodies. Okay. Oh, no, I meant if Kamaru wins. Okay, yeah, I agree with you then. I guarantee Diaz gets demolished in that fight. I agree. When it comes to Nate Diaz versus Vicente Luque, I just don't see a path to victory for Nate Diaz. I mean, he's super durable, but I just think Vicente Luque is just bigger, stronger. He's more aggressive. And I just think, Nate's not going to be able to submit him. I don't think Vicente Luque is going to put himself in a dangerous place. And I just don't believe when you look at that fight and you look at the advantages versus disadvantages, Nate's going to have a size disadvantage. He's going to have a power disadvantage. He's going to have, I don't know if he's going to have a reach disadvantage in that fight, but just there's so many things that are just going against him. The age, the damage that he's taken a lot of damage over the course of his career. And, he's not a true 170er. He's been ragdolled by 170ers. His best hope would be to drag Vicente Luque in the deep water and maybe, submit him in the latter rounds. Probably 76. Thank you so much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. You're the man. I talked about it when I began the video, but just in case you haven't seen it, let me show you real quick. I started a membership for the channel. It's very, very cheap. You get to join and become a member of the channel, and you get access to loyalty badges next to your name and custom emojis. And here's what they look like. There's the loyalty badges, and there's the emojis. You get Nate Diaz, Dana White, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Mike Perry with his broken nose, Joshua Fabia, and Sleepy Conor McGregor. You can use those in the chat, in the comments on the channel. And also, I post in the members only tab behind the scenes stuff like my MMA memorabilia, what I'm working on, all different types of stuff in the community members tab. So if you sign up, you can support the channel that way. I'm going to add more tiers as the channel grows. I'm hoping to hit 10K subscribers before the end of the year. That's my goal. I don't know if I'll hit it or not, but I just figured I'd let you guys know if anyone wants to become a member. It's super cheap. It's just a way to support the channel, and the link is in the description down below. So you guys can do that. Let me get these off the screen really quick and go back to answering questions. But thanks again, probably 76 for the super chat, man. I appreciate you. Do you think Luke Thomas lost some fans when he tried doing technique breakdowns? I remember a lot of people criticizing him for it, but I didn't think he was bad at the time. No, I think what happened is, and this is just my opinion, I didn't pay super close attention to it, when I fell out. I felt like when he started doing interviews, and I believe he's admitted some of this, or to some extent, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not trying to get it completely wrong here. But when he started doing interviews, he had to reel back some of the criticisms. And when you're a guy who is known in the MMA community, I'm basically at this point I'm nobody. I'm a very small channel. But when you're in MMA and you're doing interviews, MMA fighters are some of the most sensitive guys on the channel. Well, I mean, not on the channel. Some of the most sensitive guys in all of sports. And when you're doing interviews, then it's hard to be able to do criticism, because if you're criticizing guys, even if it's justified, then they don't want to come on and do interviews. So when Luke started doing interviews, I feel like he started to, reel back on some of his criticisms just because he didn't want to get himself in hot water with fighters and then fighters refusing to do interviews. So I think that's what happened, and I think he lost some fans because of that. Also, he kind of did abandon his solo channel. I think he's bringing it back, but Luke is really one of the first MMA personalities that I really watched, and I love the way he articulates himself. He's a very smart guy, and he does a great job of explaining his side of the way he feels, whether you agree with him or not. He backs up the reasonings he feels the way he does. So to answer your question, I think it was the lack of criticisms. You could tell a change in his personality. For me, a lot of the MMA media lost me when the Conor McGregor magic was going on. I feel like a lot of MMA media were just circle jerking Conor, and it was just disgusting to me. They couldn't do anything but praise him, no matter what he did or said. And if he was still on top doing the things that he's doing now, there would be absolutely no criticism of him, which I just find disgusting. I don't care how popular a guy is; he should not be immune to criticism, especially when he's acting a certain way. Okay. I mean, Dean, and also I like his technique breakdowns. I haven't watched them in a while. I don't think he's done them in a while, but I liked them when he did do them. I wish I was that smart and could, break down fights in that way. Maybe it's something I can get better at in the years to come. I mean, Herb Dean was below average fighter, and now he's one of the best MMA referees of all time. Okay. I'm trying to think. Was there something else about that? I must have missed something. Herb was one of the best. He's gone downhill a little bit the last couple of years. Ever since that CB Dalloway stoppage, I've been disgusted. So I can't even think of Herb as one of the best. I like Jason Herzog right now. He's probably my favorite. Does Robbie Lawler get released if he loses to Nick at UFC 266? I believe probably. Probably so. Every single time I do these live stream, guys, I forget to tweet out the link. By the way, guys, if you want to follow me on Twitter, the link is below. If you have Twitter, go follow me on Twitter. I always tweet out when I'm going live, and I always forget and then tweet it out 10 minutes later. So let me tweet this out. So some people can see it. I always mean to do that. Okay. But yeah, I think Robbie Lawler probably gets released. He's older. The UFC ain't going to want to pay him. He's on a big losing streak right now, especially if he loses to Nick. I think he's probably done, which I'll be really sad because Robbie Lawler is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I think Nate gets submitted against Luque, to be honest. It's a possibility, but Nate's really good on the ground. I don't know. Maybe if he hurts him really bad, Luque does have some great Darce chokes. 5-round Nate has a chance. Maybe. Who would take it, Prime Tony or Prime Masvidal? That's a great question. Prime Tony, Prime Masvidal. At what weight class? Let me know what weight class and then I'll answer it. Also, I just realized I read it and then somehow I accidentally skipped over it, I believe. Did you see Joseph Benavidez retired from MMA today? I did see. I know I saw that earlier. I just remembered it just hit me for whatever reason. Yes, I did see it. One of the greatest flyweights of all time. Unfortunately, as many chances as he had at a title, I believe he got 4 title shots. Yeah, I think he fought DJ twice for the title. And then he fought Figueroa twice for the title. I don't know how many title shots he got outside the UFC. But I'm sad to see him leave without a title, but without a doubt, one of the greatest flyweights of all time, by the way. Let me go back and read that. 39. Okay, you're responding to him. Who do you think Cerrone fights at 155? I don't know. Hopefully the UFC gives him somebody he can beat so he can win and maybe get out of there. I think that's what's best for Donald Cerrone. Who wins, McGregor with a broken leg or Machine Gun Kelly? I'll go Machine Gun Kelly just for shits and giggles. Joey, when are you going to start interviewing fighters? Hopefully, maybe by the end of the year. Maybe by the end of the year. Only a couple more months left. I would really like to try to. I think it would be something that would help the channel. But there's a lot into that. I mean, I have to try to message guys and get interviews with them. It's hard, man. It's hard. It's scary, too. It's really just a preference. Some refs stop it early and don't wait a bit. Some longer. It really just depends. I was getting at you don't have to be a good fighter to be knowledgeable about MMA. Okay, I see what you're saying. I knew that had to be about something, but I just couldn't figure it out. What's up? About time. Joseph retired. Should have been done that. Hey, man, he was decent. He was decent. He was fighting for a title last year, I believe, or the year before. What's up, bro? What's going on? Cerrone just needs to retire, in my opinion. I agree. Maybe he can go to Bellator or something like that. What's up, Tiramisu? This microphone's always in the way of the live chat, so I hope I still sound all right. I'm always nervous. Josh K, thank you, man. The link is in the description. I got to mess with the store more, but if you guys want to get an MMA Joey t-shirt and support the channel, the link is in the description. You can get it in all different colors and whatnot. It's all in there. I still got to organize it a little bit better, but I'm still learning. But the link is in the description for that. What's going on, Big Booty Judy? Thanks for stopping by. So let's talk about a little bit. You guys can keep filling up the chat with questions, and I will get to them in a second. But let's talk about Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal. Because I've seen a lot of people saying, apparently, I think it was Ariel Helwani is saying the UFC is trying to put together Jorge Masvidal versus Leon Edwards. And in my honest opinion, I think there's a chance that it happens, but I would put it at a very small chance. Not, like if I had to put a percentage on it, I'd say 20% chance it happens. I just really believe Jorge Masvidal is not looking for that fight. If he loses again, regardless of who's it's against, a 3-fight losing streak is going to be terrible for him. Leon Edwards, he's going to say Leon Edwards is not a big name. He's going to come up with every excuse in the book to try to fight Nate or Nick Diaz. Every time I'm on here, somehow I get the hiccups. Probably from drinking so much water, from talking so much. But if he takes that fight, I'd be so happy. I did a video, who's next for Masvidal. That's most recent. It's one of my last few videos on the channel. But also, what I really want to talk about, and I seen this right before I got on the live stream, is Leon Edwards said, I'm not fighting Jorge. I'm not fighting a guy that's come off a 2-fight losing streak. I've tried to fight him a million times. He did not want to fight me. And now he wants to fight me, or the UFC wants to put it together. He said, I'm only taking title fights, which I think is a bad look for Leon Edwards, because if you look at Leon Edwards, and don't get me wrong, Leon Edwards has put in some serious work, and he's been a very, large victim of bad luck. But if you look over his resume, I feel like that's one of my patented lines. If you look over his resume and you look through, who has he beaten? Who has he beaten, guys? His best win is against RDA. And RDA is not even a true 170er, in my opinion. I mean, these names are not good. He beat Vicente Luque, but that was back in 2017. Donald Cerrone, Brian Barberina, Gunnar Nelson. Not the greatest win streak. He needs to beat an elite guy if he wants to get a title shot. Let me repeat that. Leon Edwards needs to beat an elite guy if he wants to get a title shot. And I would have been okay. I'm okay with him getting a title shot right now if he were to get it. But what I'm saying is, all these people in the welterweight division acting like they're entitled to a title shot when they've done nothing really irks me. Like, I desperately want to see Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. That's probably my most anticipated fight for the year, is Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman too. But when Colby was whining, saying, I deserve a second shot, I didn't agree with that. You know what I mean? I had no problem with him getting a shot, but he fought one time since he lost to Kamaru Usman the first time. You got stopped and then you beat Tyron Woodley and now you deserve another title shot. No, you should earn it. And that's why I said it's a toss up. Give it to Leon, give it to Colby, give it to Gilbert, give it to whoever. I don't care because nobody in the welterweight division 100% earned it. And it was just annoying to me. But I really don't think that Masvidal versus Edwards fight's going to happen unless the UFC really pushes it hard. I don't think Masvidal wants to fight. I don't think Leon Edwards wants to fight. And I just don't think it's going to happen, guys. He was only on a 2-fight losing streak and was ranked top 10 at 36 years old. Could have at least one more fight. I think you're talking about Robbie Lawler. At least I hope so. I hope he gets one more fight. But maybe you're talking about someone else. Joseph Benavidez living a good life, still goes home to Megan O'Leary. Very true. I think Prime Tony beats Masvidal in either weight class, 155 or 170. So back to that question, because I didn't answer because I asked which weight class. I think Prime Tony finishes him in the later rounds. At 170, I don't like his chances as much. So I'll go Jorge Masvidal knocks him out at 170. By the way, guys, do me a favor. Do not forget to like the video, guys. That helps push the live stream to more people. More people can join. More people can subscribe. And maybe, just maybe, by the end of the week, I'll have 1,200 subscribers. I wish they would book my boy Ferguson a damn fight already. I agree. I wish Ferguson was fighting. I want Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. Is there anybody who does not want that fight? If there is, just leave the chat because I want that fight so badly. Maybe Masvidal can rematch Wonderboy. I don't think he's taking that fight. I think Jorge Masvidal is either fighting Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz if Nick Diaz beats Robbie Lawler. If it's not that, I really don't know who he's fighting. Maybe Vicente Luque. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to pick out his fights. I did a video on it, and I went through 5 possible opponents, but it's just some of them I just don't... Like, there's no way Jorge Masvidal takes the Gilbert Burns fight. Jorge Masvidal, ever since his name has blown up, he's changed. He's changed quite a bit. And, you know, I think he's worried about protecting his brand. And to be honest, if his manager allows him to fight Gilbert Burns, then his manager needs to be fired because Gilbert Burns is going to wipe the floor with him in every aspect. Gilbert Burns has more power. Gilbert Burns has the better jiu-jitsu. Gilbert Burns has the better takedowns. Gilbert Burns has the better top game. Gilbert Burns just wins in every facet. And probably even in the striking. And Burns has more power. So, Edwards would destroy Masvidal. I don't know if Edwards would destroy Masvidal. I think it'd be a competitive fight. See what happened is, for me personally, I used to think, and I still believe this, before the Ben Askren flying knee KO, Jorge Masvidal was one of the criminally underrated guys in the welterweight division. I know that sounds hard to believe now because of how overrated he is now, but he was very underrated, and I thought he was really good. He fought Damian Maia a few years ago, and if he beat Damian Maia, he was going to get the next title shot against Tyron Woodley, and I favored him to beat Woodley. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get by Damian Maia. He just was taken down and held down. But I think what happens is Masvidal has gotten so overhyped now and so blown up, and his head, is so blown up after that Ben Askren KO that it's almost like, it's hard to it's like he's dodging fights now, it seems like, or this guy doesn't deserve to fight me because my name is so big. Dude, you were a no name at one point yourself. Have some respect. If Jorge Masvidal, I think Jorge Masvidal super overrated. That's funny because he is now. A lot of the media is pumping him up just because of the flying knee KO over Ben Askren, who's one of the worst fighters. I would play the clip for you right now. I wish I had a YouTube channel going into the Jorge Masvidal Ben Askren fight. I said Ben Askren is so bad, and Jorge Masvidal is going to brutally KO him. And sure enough, Jorge Masvidal went in there and brutally KO'd him. I wish I had a YouTube channel back then. If Jorge Masvidal doesn't accept the fight with Leon, I'm going to lose a lot of respect for him. I don't think Leon's going to take that fight. I don't think Leon will take that fight right now. I think he thinks he deserves the title shot, and I think he's thinking I'll wait it out until it's possible for me to get a title shot. I feel Leon deserves a title shot. I mean, I think he's right up there, but there's no concrete case. He hasn't beaten anyone in the top 10, I don't even think. At least in the top 10 in the last couple of years, and a lot of it's been bad luck, but still. Colby doesn't even deserve a title shot rematch against Usman. Shaking my head, the UFC has become a big joke at this point. Not even a real sport at this point. It's a talent show. Who can be a big star? I think that nobody at welterweight really deserved a shot, but there was a lot of fun matchups, and I think Colby just got it based on the fact the first fight was super competitive. But if you want to just say the statement, Colby Covington did not deserve a title shot rematch, I agree 100%, but I have no problem with it because there's no clear-cut number one contender, in my opinion. Now, if there's a guy who's on a 15-fight win streak, he's beaten nothing but top guys, and they gave it to Colby instead, I'd be having a hissy fit. But considering everyone's in that same spot where they don't really deserve it right now, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it 100%. Edwards would be fighting for a title if Diaz didn't wobble him. Edwards would have been fighting for a title if he stopped Nate Diaz impressively. Edwards just is just doesn't have the killer instinct, and it's sad because he could be fighting for the title right now. But realistically, I would have been sick him earning the title shot over Nate Diaz. My thoughts, and obviously this is on my YouTube channel. My thoughts were, if you don't believe Leon Edwards deserves a title shot going into the Nate Diaz fight, don't say he deserves one afterwards. Who can Masvidal actually beat in the top 5? I will tell you right now. The answer is maybe Vicente Luque, but I don't favor him in any of the top 5. I think Jorge gets grappling dominated in the Colby Covington fight, in the Gilbert Burns fight. I think he probably gets outpointed to a decision in the Leon Edwards fight, but I think Masvidal has a chance in that fight. Very slim, maybe a 10% chance to knock Leon Edwards out. Because if Nate Diaz is able to find that chin, Jorge might be able to, and Jorge's got more power. Vicente Luque, I think, beats him as well, but I think that fight could go either way. Wonderboy Thompson, we've already seen that fight before. Jorge Masvidal got pieced up by Wonderboy Thompson. Okay. What are your thoughts on Derrick Brunson's most recent victory? I think it was a great win for Derrick Brunson. I think Darren Till is a solid fighter, a bit overrated, but he's a solid fighter. And I think Brunson doesn't get the respect that he deserves. I truly believe Derrick Brunson gets overlooked by a lot of guys, and the UFC keeps feeding him contender after contender to just make a name off of Derrick Brunson, and Derrick Brunson keeps sending him back to the outside of the top 10. So I was very impressed with the win by Derrick Brunson. I think his hands look terrible as always. I think he's actually regressed in the striking department. But his wrestling is very, very good, and his ground and pound is getting better every time. Nick Diaz versus Tony Ferguson, they're both crazy. Can you imagine a Nick Diaz versus Tony Ferguson pre-fight press conference? Somebody give me that right now. Tiramisu, have some damn respect. I love Derrick Brunson and biased because I live in North Carolina, but I can't help but feel bad for Darren Till. I think everybody feels bad for Darren Till. I think Darren Till is a very likable guy. He's hard not to like. He has a fan-friendly skill set, and he's on a bad streak right now. Leon almost lost the fight to Diaz. If Diaz didn't point at him when he stunned him and followed up an attack, he would have finished the fight. I don't doubt that. I think Nate Diaz could have finished Leon Edwards if he would have been more aggressive after rocking him. I don't know why he did that. That actually infuriated me. But if Nate Diaz would have finished Leon Edwards, he'd probably be fighting for a belt right now. Okay, let's see. I honestly think Jorge Masvidal beats Vicente Luque TKO round 3. I think it's a very even fight, but I favor Luque. I think Luque beats him via decision. Do you think they book Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou at UFC 270? Well, that is something I did put in the title, UFC 270. Let's talk about that. So let's see who's available. Let's see who's available. So Moreno's probably fighting in December. Jan versus Sterling is fighting at UFC 267, October 30th. Volkanovski's fighting at 266. So Volkanovski could be an option. So Volkanovski could be an option. Charles Oliveira's fighting in December. Kamaru Usman's fighting in November, so probably not an option. We could get Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker too at UFC 270. That's an option. Jan Blachowicz is fighting October 30th against Glover Teixeira, so he could be an option, or the winner of that fight could be an option. And then we got Francis Ngannou. I think most likely the main event for UFC 270 in January of 2022, I think most likely it's probably Ciryl Gane versus Francis Ngannou. But I also think there's a shot that we get... Now I lost track. Oh, Alexander Volkanovski defending his belt again at UFC 270. Considering he only fights in about a week, there's plenty of time. He has all November, all October, all November, all December. So you could take a month off and then get back into training. But I think most likely the answer is yes. Ciryl Gane versus Francis Ngannou. Another person we could have for 270, and a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy for saying this, is Jon Jones. They could do Jon Jones versus anyone at 270. You know, whether it be Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira, if he wins the title, who's ever the champion at the time, Jon Jones could return. Or you could have Jon Jones versus like a Stipe Miocic or another heavyweight main eventing a UFC 270. So I think there's a lot of options for 270, but I think most likely is Ciryl Gane versus Francis Ngannou. And I hope so. I really hope so. I want to see that fight sooner rather than later. There's a chance also, depending on what happens with the UFC, they could do Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones for the interim title. I know Gane already has the interim title, or they might even strip Francis Ngannou. If Francis Ngannou is having trouble coming to terms, I'd be pissed if this happened. But I could see a scenario, or Gane defends his interim title. Maybe if Ngannou's injured, but they still want to keep him as champion, they do Gane versus Jon Jones for the interim belt. Basically, Ciryl Gane defends the interim belt. I believe that's happened before in the past. And then the winner of that fights Francis Ngannou. But to answer your question, I think there is a heavyweight belt on the line at UFC 270. Do you believe Conor McGregor's return is at 170? It could be, it could not be. I think it could be at 155, it could be at 170. I know a lot of people have floated around the possibility of him returning to featherweight. He will never return to featherweight ever. That will never happen ever, ever, ever. So that's just something that I don't ever see happening. I think he probably returns and he picks a manageable opponent. Maybe he fights Nate Diaz in the third fight. I still favor him to lose. I think we could see him pick out Tony Ferguson and try to fight Tony Ferguson. That's a fight that a lot of people have wanted for a while. By the way, guys, do not forget. Let me turn this off. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for the channel. If you're already subscribed, click the bell and turn on notifications. You can see I got a bunch of UFC 266 predictions coming up the end of this week, early next week, somewhere around there. So you guys are not going to want to miss those. Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega, Valentina Shevchenko, Lauren Murphy, Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler 2, Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. A bunch of great fights coming up. And I'll be doing a prediction video for all of those, hopefully. I'm going to start working on them probably tomorrow, actually. And I'm going to try to get out a few early. You guys know how it is. Let me actually look up UFC 266. I think there's actually a prelim or two I might do a prediction for. I can't remember now, though, off the top of my head. Yep, I'll probably do a prediction video for Marlon Moraes versus Merab Davishvili. Merab Davishvili. I hope I'm saying his name right. So, you guys have a lot to look forward to as far as prediction videos. Maybe I'm hoping, and by the way, guys, I'm not 100% sure, but I try to do all my prediction videos in 4K. So, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, do me a favor. I know this fight isn't that big, but I did a prediction video for Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. If after the stream you guys can go check it out, run up the likes on it. It's not a big fight. It's not getting a lot of views, and I work hard on those prediction videos. So if you guys can go check out that prediction. The Yoel Romero versus Phil Davis prediction for Bellator 266 is up as well. I'm really excited for that fight. I'll be live streaming on Saturday night for Bellator and the UFC. I'm more excited for Yoel's debut at Bellator. But do me a favor, after the chat, guys, go check those videos out. I think Ferguson fights again sometime in 2022. I think he sits out the rest of the year. I hope not. I want to see him fight soon. I hope they give him a decent matchup. Hey, it's been a while. What's going on, WGP? I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming by the live stream. I greatly appreciate you. Despite Ferguson being on a 3-fight losing streak, I still believe he's a dangerous fight for McGregor, and the UFC would never risk that. I think Tony Ferguson beats Conor McGregor. And I just think he would outlast him. He would absorb the damage. Tony's Conor McGregor's worst nightmare. He's got a chin of granite, and he's got unlimited cardio. Those two are Conor McGregor's kryptonite. So I think Tony would beat him, and I think it'd be a fun fight. But I think the UFC, they're going to look for a winnable fight for Conor, and I think Tony's the most winnable fight. I mean, who else are they going to match him up with right now? Seriously. Who else are they going to match him up with? Let me take a look. I mean, lightweight's full of killers. Top 10 on Gregor Gillespie, Conor McGregor's number 9, Dan Hooker, Dos Anjos, Tony Ferguson, Islam Makhachev, Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush. I mean, you look at the top 10, the only other person I could see Conor beating, I think he has a chance to beat Tony Ferguson. I don't favor him in that fight. But he could also beat maybe Dan Hooker. I don't think he beats RDA. I think RDA is criminally underrated at this point in time just because he's lost to some of the best welterweights. For me personally, I think he's got to fight Tony Ferguson. Other than that, only Nate Diaz. Only Nate Diaz. And I don't favor him in any of those fights. I'll tell you right now, I don't favor Conor in any fight in the top 10 other than maybe Dan Hooker. I think he can beat Dan Hooker. I think he loses to Gregor Gillespie at number 10. Even 12 and 13 and 14. I mean, Brad Riddell, Rafael Fiziev, Sarukian, all tough guys. I don't think he can beat any of those guys. Despite Ferguson being on a 3-fight... Okay, I already read that. Valentina said that she didn't want Nunes trilogy, so I don't know what is next for her. Maybe the winner of Grasso versus Calderwood. She's just going to keep beating up scrubs and keep collecting paychecks. And unfortunately, it is what it is. I would love to see some competitive fights, but they just don't exist. McGregor versus Holloway 2 is what I want to see. I would love to see that. I would love to see McGregor versus Holloway 2 at 155. I'd love that, but I don't think Conor wants that one. That one ain't good for him either. The UFC are fools if they actually think Ferguson is a winnable fight for McGregor. I think it is just because he's so hittable. Even me, who I don't believe in Conor at all, and I favor Tony Ferguson to win the fight. It's when I look at the rankings and I look at, okay, can Conor beat Tony? Maybe. Can Conor beat Beneil Dariush or Islam Makhachev? No. Can he beat Justin Gaethje? No. Dustin Poirier, we already know he can't beat Dustin Poirier. I don't think he's beaten Dos Anjos. McGregor would destroy Tony. I don't believe that. I think it's possible. I think it's possible, though, because Tony is very hittable. So I see either Tony drowning Conor in the later rounds or Conor finishing him early. But that's what you say about every Conor McGregor fight. I want to see Tony versus Conor. Yep, that's the fight I would like to see. I want to see Tony versus Nate. The winner of that fight fights Conor in his return. I just watched the free fight the UFC uploaded Lauren Murphy. She's way too stiff for Valentina. Lauren Murphy looks so bad. So bad. The only reasonable... you think Luque knocks Nate out or gets a decision? That's a good question. I think he probably finishes Nate. If he doesn't TKO him, he probably gets a doctor stoppage. Because Nate's got a lot of scar tissue. And that's very, very sad to say. But, Vicente Luque is so good. Is so good. Vicente Luque is just so good. And he's aggressive. He's powerful. He's got a size advantage. He's got a power advantage. Ferguson is going to drown McGregor. Who's going to win, Prime GSP or Prime Kamaru Usman, I'm assuming is what you're saying. I'll say Prime GSP. I think Prime GSP keeps the fight standing and outstrikes him on the feet. He's got a great jab. So, you look at the women's flyweight top 15, and Valentine's either dominated him already or they're not even proven to get a shot already. Yeah, let me go take a look at women's flyweight. Andrade, Caitlin Chukagian, Lauren Murphy, Jennifer Maia. She could build back. Cynthia Calvillo, probably. I don't think they fought yet, so they could probably fight. Joanne Calderwood would get waxed. Everyone else would just get destroyed. Yeah, there's nobody. This top 15 is terrible. Macy Barber's number 13. Roxanne Manifero's in the top 10, guys. Whew. That is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Yeah. Thoughts on Anthony Smith saying he wants the Rakic rematch after Spann? I'm okay with that because we know we're not getting Rakic versus Yuri. I'm okay with that unless I'm Anthony Smith's family because Rakic is going to wreck him again. That first fight wasn't very pretty. So, I don't know about that one. I respect Anthony Smith for saying he wants it, but I don't know, man. Rakic is a beast. Rakic, I've been saying it for a while, and you guys will hear me talk about in the future. I think Alexander Rakic is the future of the light heavyweight division, along with Yuri Prochazka. I see some title fights coming between them very, very soon. I think Rakic could beat Yan. I think Rakic could beat Glover Teixeira. And if one of those guys falls out, I think Rakic or Yuri steps in and fights him. Guys, just a quick reminder. Do not forget to like the stream. Go click the like button right now. I greatly appreciate it. As we're streaming, the more likes, it helps push the video out to more people. More people click on it, and we build the community even stronger. So at least you guys can do me that favor. I think Tony has 2 fights left, in my opinion. Maybe Conor and Islam. I hope we don't ever see Tony Ferguson versus Islam Makhachev. I hope. I find it very strange how people say McGregor would destroy Tony Ferguson, but if that's the case, why didn't Dana White and UFC ever want to put that fight for McGregor? That says a lot. They know Conor McGregor can't beat Tony Ferguson. Yeah, I honestly wish, in a way, I wish Conor would have stepped in to fight Tony when he was offered the shot when Khabib pulled out last year because he was in another country and couldn't get back to the United States. And if Conor wanted a rematch with Khabib Nurmagomedov so badly, that's what he should have done. If he stepped in and beat Tony Ferguson and won the interim title, Khabib had no choice but to fight him then and give him the rematch. But he said, I'm not a backup fighter, even though he talked all that shit beforehand. He said, I'm going to step in. I'll step in with one of these pull-out merchants. I'll step in and fight him. And then he got offered the opportunity, and he didn't take it. And then he's begging for a fight with Diego Sanchez. Valentina just needs to turn up to get paid. Exactly, that's all she's doing. They almost need to make the women's division like heavyweight, where it's 205, 265, or do 125 to 145. Yeah, but then a lot of girls will be at a disadvantage. It sucks, but the divisions will probably grow. 145 is absolutely atrocious. The 145-pound women's division is non-existent, guys. Who wins, Prime Anderson Silva or Prime GSP? I'll say Prime Anderson Silva. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns and outstrike him just because of the size advantage. I've been saying this for years. McGregor is scared of Tony Ferguson. I don't know if he's scared, but maybe he doesn't want it. But I guess that's the same thing. Rakic is good, but he only does enough to win. I don't like his style, but yeah, he's not he's good. I don't see him losing unless it's Yuri. I think he can beat anybody. And I think right now, I think he's kind of playing it safe in some of these fights. But I think eventually he can turn into a finisher. His striking is very, very good. He's a very well-rounded guy. The light heavyweight division he's huge for. So I think Alexander Rakic can really turn into a beast in the light heavyweight division. But he just isn't there yet. And I know I understand the criticisms. You know, I didn't really like the Anthony Smith fight too much. I hated the Thiago Santos fight. That was a fight that I was super excited for. And it was just terrible. So I know where the criticism is coming from. Trying to fight Diego Sanchez, wow, man, I couldn't believe Conor was doing that. Absolutely disgusting. How are you going to post the messages begging Dana White to fight Diego Sanchez? That's embarrassing. Dude, you just embarrassed yourself. You are messaging the president of the UFC, please let me fight Diego Sanchez. And I truly, you know, I'm going to have to make an entire video on my beliefs on Conor. But a lot of people I think are going to laugh and say it's hindsight now because he's lost. But I felt like this way the entire way through. I was never a big believer in Conor. He got his title shot based off a win over Dennis Seaver in a fight where he was shot through by Dennis Seaver. Eventually he got the finish. But Conor's best wins are only Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez. That's his only two decent wins. Chad Mendes was so exhausted and out of shape for that fight. The real question is, where does Kevin Lee fit into this? He might fit into Bellator at this point, the way he's doing. Don't disrespect Diego Sanchez. He's a warrior. I love Diego Sanchez. But at that point in his career, as in last year, the fact that Conor was begging to fight him was sad. Diego was nowhere near elite form. And the fact that Conor was begging to fight the guy and then wanting a title shot and this and that was disgusting. Diego and Conor did not belong fighting each other at all. And that's no disrespect to Diego. I love Diego. They just were in totally different points in their career at that point. Jon Jones runs when the light heavyweight division is at its best. No way Jon can say he fought all the contenders. Yeah, I think it was just bad timing. I think sometimes the divisions catch up after a guy leaves, if you notice. Like, all these contenders have came since Jon Jones left. It's not like they were there when Jon Jones left. So it's one of those things where it sucks. I would love to see Jon Jones versus Yuri Prochazka. I mean, who wouldn't love to see that fight? I would love to see Jon Jones versus Alexander Rakic. I would have loved to see Jon Jones versus Dominic Reyes after they first fight. There's a lot of fights that I would love to see. Jan Blachowicz as well. But I think he left and then division kind of built itself up after that. It was one of those things. Thoughts on Tom Aspinall? I love the way he's carrying himself, and I love the way he's saying, I'm not ready to fight elite competition yet. I want to gradually move up and grow and learn. I love that honesty. A lot of guys want to pretend that they're the best in the division, but they're not even ready to fight the best in the division yet. So that's one of those things that I find very annoying. And Tom Aspinall is very refreshing in his thoughts of, you know, I just want to slowly move up the rankings. And because sometimes the UFC pushes fighters too fast and then they end up ruined because they fought, in this case, Francis Ngannou before they were ready. So now they lost all their confidence. Now they got to go back and fight a bunch of killers rather than build themselves up, fight up the rankings slowly but surely. Then when they're ready and their skill set, it's not about just the fights themselves. It's about all the training in between there. So I think we're 2 years away from seeing Aspinall potentially challenge for a belt, maybe. Win. I missed what the win is about. How do you think Cody will do at flyweight? I think Cody will have some success at flyweight. I don't know if he'll be champion, but I believe that he will have some success. I think he's got super fast hands. I think, you know, a lot of people that beat him had significant reach advantages on him. I think Cody Ferguson. I think Cody Garbrandt is an elite fighter, but I don't know how successful he can be at bantamweight because bantamweight's so stacked. John says nothing to prove at light heavyweight. Agreed, but I still would love to see some of those matchups. John did take over the division for 9 years, but I would have liked to see some of the rematches between Reyes and Santos. The fights were too close. Did they push Johnny Walker too fast? Maybe a hair. But I actually thought they brought him up in a good way, and I saw every single one of Johnny Walker's fights. He came in, he beat Khalil Roundtree by KO. Then he fought Justin Lidette. I don't remember that fight all that much, but that guy is kind of a bum. Then he took a little bit of a step up and fought Misha Sakurnov, which isn't the best win. And then Corey Anderson was the shittiest top-ranked guy there was. So I really think maybe a hair, but not that bad. They gave him a winnable top 10 opponent in Corey Anderson, and he lost. And then he lost to Nikita Krylov. So I really think it's not like he went out and lost to a, Dominic Reyes or Thiago Santos or Anthony Smith. He went out there and lost to guys that I feel like if he was the skill level that people thought he was, he should have been able to win. Paddy versus Sean O'Malley. Who wins in a submission underground match? I'll say Paddy just because his submission skills seem to be on point. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I mean, Paddy would have a massive size advantage too. Thoughts on Walker versus Santos? Johnny Walker versus Thiago Santos is October 2nd on a UFC fight night. I like the matchmaking, but I am not a fan of the fact that that's a main event. It's just not one of. I just wish it could have been better. Right now, Johnny Walker's on a 1-fight win streak against Ryan Spann. Thiago Santos is on like a 3-fight losing streak against all killers. But I think it's one of those fights where at least one of those guys will kind of be back on track. Either Santos gets a win or Johnny Walker gets a second win in a row. It's a decent fight. I like that fight more than I like Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. So giving him Corey Anderson is like giving a middleweight prospect Derrick Bronson. I don't think it's that extreme. Corey Anderson, I was never high on Corey Anderson. The fact that I think Johnny Walker should have beaten him, honestly. I think Johnny Walker just came in there too cocky. I was actually there live, and he got brutally KO'd. A lot of people overlooked Corey Anderson in that fight completely. Walker doesn't deserve a fight versus Thiago at all. I agree. The matchup is disrespectful to Santos. Yeah, but it kind of makes sense, though, really, if you really look at the division. Johnny Walker's number 10. Oh, no. Johnny Walker's number 10. Santos is number 4. But Santos is on a 3-fight losing streak. So how many times can you have him fight killers and then lose constantly? So my guess is they're trying to either get Santos back on the winning track or they're trying to give Walker a name to build his resume off of. Walker could rebound. I don't think Walker's ever going to be anything. But I think it's a good fight for Santos to get back on track and get back in the win column. So I don't think it's really disrespectful to Santos. Santos is on a 3-fight losing streak. You can't be much more disrespectful than that. Prime Kane or Prime John? I'll go Prime John. Kane's stand-up was always left a lot to be desired. Torin Brown said, I'm picking Johnny Walker. Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay. Guys, do not forget to like the stream. I know I keep reminding you, but it helps build the channel. Helps build the channel. I want to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So hopefully we can achieve that. If you guys have friends that like MMA and they're going to watch the videos, send them the channel and tell them to go subscribe. Also, become a member of the channel as well. The link is in the description. You guys can get these custom loyalty badges and emojis. I love these emojis. And I'm going to keep adding more. As the channel grows, I'll keep adding more to it. The link is in the description to become a member. And look, you can use these all in the chat. I love Sleepy Conor McGregor. I love Joshua Fabia. And Mike Perry. I love all those emojis. So you guys can become a member. and get behind the scenes stuff. I post a bunch of behind the scenes stuff on the members only tab. So let me get rid of this now. I just wanted to put that up to tell you guys again to go become a member. It really helps. It's really a great way to help support the channel, and it literally costs almost nothing. So, as a Tony, oh hold on, I'm falling behind here. Ginge, what's going on, my friend? Oh, Yusuf. Damn, I thought you were streaming in an hour. Damn. Sorry, my friend. 6 p.m. Eastern time is what I always try to do. Every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. I try to schedule it at least a day before so you can see ahead of time, and you can even set it to give you a notification. What's up, Dual Core MMA? I wonder what's next for Kelvin Gastlon. Hopefully a winnable fight, honestly. I hope for maybe a Uriah Hall fight. A step back, maybe a Brad Tavares. He could rematch Darren Till. I think there's a lot of options for him. I really do. Let's see. As a Tony fan, I don't think Tony would beat Nate. I'd love to find out. Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz is one of my dream fights. Joey, tell us more about you and your story. What do you mean? What do you want to know? You have to tell me what you want to know exactly. Or what do you mean by that? And I can give you some more information. True or false, if that flying knee doesn't land, Masvidal will be on the undercard of Fight Night. Probably. But I don't know. I think he would still be on pay-per-view cards. But depends. Does he lose that fight? I think he still wins the fight even if he doesn't land the knee. What's okay? Did you hear the news? Edwards and Masvidal is reported to be in the works. Yes, I did, and I talked about it a little bit earlier. I do not think that fight's going to happen. I don't think Edwards is going to take that fight, and he's come out and said he's not going to take the fight. I don't think Jorge Masvidal truly wants that fight, so I just think it's not going to come together unless the UFC really forces both their hands to take that fight. Kelvin should go back to welterweight. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I would love to see Kelvin go back to welterweight. Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green is a sick fight, in my opinion. Bobby Green has a fight coming up against Ally Quinta. So, unfortunately, I don't think that's really going to happen. If UFC gives Ferguson another wrestler, I'm going to be very mad. Imagine they give Tony Ferguson Gregor Gillespie. I'd be pissed. If Tony Ferguson fights Gregor Gillespie next, I'm having a riot. We are going to riot in the streets, guys. Let's see. So, guys, let me know in the chat who here is going to be here for the Saturday stream. I'm going to do a live stream watch along of Yoel Romero versus Phil Davis, as well as the Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann fight card. Who's going to be here for that stream? Neither do I. Leon said he doesn't want that fight, and to be honest, it's hurting him. People already don't like him. So for him to be refusing to fight and wait for a title shot is obviously going to make him more hated. Agreed, 100%. And it might not work out in his favor. It might work out in his favor, but it might not. Me, of course. Thank you, Goat Zay. Listen to MMA Joey while jump roping. Big Rocker Johnson, appreciate you, man. Yusuf says he'll be here. Jen says he'll be here. I should be. Dual Core says he should be. Might not be able to. I got to be up early next morning. I want to see Romero KO in round 2. I'd love to see Romero get a KO. Hopefully Gregor will be at least box with Ferguson and don't wrestle him for 3 rounds. Gregor Gillespie would take him down and wrestle fuck him for 3 rounds. For sure. For absolute sure, guys. Yeah, champ, I'll be here. Thank you, Tiramisu. I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you. So, I'm going to do that. The fight card for Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann is just, ugh. So I'm very happy to do a live stream for that, and that way, it'll help pass the time. I got to see Gregor Gillespie fight live, and he was nasty. I got to see Gregor Gillespie fight live as well. That was at UFC 244 when he was head kicked to the Shadow Realm by Kevin Lee. Was absolutely insane. You could hear the thud on his chin from 100 feet away. It was insane. Do you think Romero is blind in one eye? I heard rumors he had a hard time getting cleared by the commission to fight. I did hear that, not the one eye thing, but I heard Joe Rogan talking about it years ago. There's something up with Yoel Romero's eyes and something that goes on in the physicals. But I hope not. I hope he's not blind in one eye. I mean, Michael Bisping hit it from commissions for years. Michael Bisping's missing an eye, basically, because of Vitor Belfort, which is just absolutely insane in my opinion. Do you think Michael Chiesa will be a true contender? No, I don't. The time for him to be a true contender was to beat Vicente Luque, and that didn't happen. I don't think Chiesa can beat anybody ahead of him. I just don't think it. And I don't think he's ever going to challenge for a belt, to be honest. It's just not going to work out for him. Would Valentina be your female GOAT if she beats Nunes? Without a doubt. If Valentina versus Amanda Nunes 3 happened, and Valentina, let's say, stopped Amanda Nunes, I would be absolutely shocked. I'm a believer in Valentina, but just stopping her would be incredible. And I think we would see a 4th fight, and I think she would be one of the considered the GOAT of women's MMA, honestly. I thought years ago that Valentina was going to be the one to dethrone Rousey before, obviously, Holly Holm got there first. Fighters are copycats. They only choose to wrestle Ferguson because they see what Charles Oliveira do to him. I mean, everyone's always known the key to beating Tony Ferguson is to wrestle him. Danny Castillo wrestled him and ended up losing because Ferguson was beating him up from the bottom. Khabib, we knew what Khabib was going to do to him. But it's just the best way to go because Tony's so unorthodox on the feet. But also, it depends what your skill set is. Because look what Justin Gaethje did. Justin Gaethje decided to strike with him. Had no problem striking with him and beat him up. And I picked Justin Gaethje in that fight. I thought that fight made a lot of sense for Justin Gaethje to be able to outbox him. Tony Ferguson's just very unorthodox. He broke his orbital bone. He's disfigured. He broke his orbital bone in the Whitaker fight. I bet Romero's 80 and his eyesight is failing. I hope not, man. I hope not. From a head kick. For the welterweight division, I'm predicting both Burns versus Masvidal and Luque versus Diaz to be announced soon. If Burns versus Masvidal happen, I will be shocked. Masvidal, that's a terrible matchup for Jorge Masvidal. Gilbert Burns would have his way with him. Gilbert Burns would wreck Masvidal everywhere it went, whether it be on the ground, whether it be in the striking, whether it be in the clinch. I don't see Jorge Masvidal winning that fight anywhere. But I wouldn't mind either. I love all those fights you proposed. I just don't see them actually happening. I just feel like Jorge Masvidal and his manager is going to stop that from happening. The Jermaine versus Amanda fight showed massive holes in Amanda's game. Very true. I wouldn't mind seeing that rematch eventually. But it's one of those things where Amanda still won. Jermaine Durandamine people aren't very fond of her. So I don't know if she'll ever get another shot at her, to be honest. But I think she definitely did show some holes in her armor. Hold on. Let's see. Keep the questions coming, guys. Keep the questions coming. Also, you guys know I love doing this because now I learned how to do it. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe right this second. If you're watching this live stream and you're not subscribed already, the only way to participate in the chat is to go subscribe. Just because we had some trolls in here, so I turned it on. You can only send messages if you're a subscriber. So go ahead and subscribe right this very second. Who in the welterweight division has the best chance to beat Usman? That's a great question. That is a very great question. I think the best chance to beat Usman is Gilbert Burns. I know he just got stopped in February of this year, but Gilbert Burns has a very great skill set where if he doesn't get rocked by Usman, I think he can beat Usman on the feet. Usman showed in that first fight that he wanted nothing to do with Gilbert Burns' ground game. So if Gilbert Burns can beat him up on the feet, then that's the path to victory for him. And I think that's very, very possible. I would love to see that rematch. I hope Gilbert Burns earns his way back to a title shot. I think Bronson is more deserving of a title shot than Whitaker. No way. I disagree. I disagree 100%. Let me pull them both up real quick. Derrick Brunson. Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker is not only the former champion, he lost the belt and went on to beat Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, and Kelvin Gastlon. Okay? Derrick Brunson lost by stoppage to Israel Adesanya as well. He's beat Elias Theodoro, Ian Heinisch, Edmund Shabazi, and Kevin Holland and Darren Till. A great win streak, but the names on the win streak are not that great. Robert Whitaker 100% deserves a title shot more than Derrick Brunson. But Derrick Brunson deserves to get the next shot afterwards. I have no disagreement in that. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He has decent names, but they're just not as good. They're just not as good as, what Robert Whitaker has done since losing the belt. To go fight Darren Till, outclass him. To go fight Jared Cannonier, outclass him. And go fight Kelvin Gastelum and outclass him. All quality wins. And I know Gastelum's ranking is a little weird right now, but Gastelum is a top elite middleweight. I don't care what anyone says. I think realistically, Kelvin Gastelum should be top 5 at middleweight, even with all his recent losses. A lot of them have been close fights where he's performed well. Okay. Literally spam the chat with questions right now. True or false questions, whatever you guys want to know. I know one of you said something about my story, but never elaborated, so you're going to have to elaborate more on that one. But just keep spamming the chat full of questions, whatever you guys want to talk about. At middleweight, I won't be surprised if the UFC booked Bronson versus Cannonier for a title shot and Till versus Hall. I think Till versus Hall is very likely, or maybe Till versus Kevin Holland as well. There's a lot of options for Darren Till. Because I missed that question before. I think, okay, I went to that. Why doesn't Wonderboy get talked about enough among top welterweights? I just think it's because he perpetually doesn't put on all that great of performances. Every fight, it seems like, he didn't let his hands go again. And then the Gilbert Burns fight was his chance to really, possibly claim a title shot, and he put on a dud. I mean, he was taken down. Then he was complaining about Burns after the fact. I think Wonderboy's older, and I don't think Wonderboy will ever fight for a title again. I'm sorry, Yusuf. I'm sorry to tell you the cold hard truth. I really am. I don't know. Okay, Brunson hasn't really gone through that many. Okay, I already talked about that. Jorge's one of those guys, if you get him worried about the takedown, you can outstrike him all day unless he flying knees you in 4 seconds. Yeah, that's something that happens all the time in MMA. If people were worried about the takedown, then it's hard for them to strike. I've used the example many of times. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor. He drops Conor because Conor's too worried about the takedown. Even Darren Till versus Derrick Brunson. Darren Till couldn't let his hands go because of the takedown. Covington and Luque. I'll probably take Covington in that one. But I could see either guy winning. Personally, I feel Usman will be like Khabib. He'll retire on top with his belt around his waist. I think Gilbert Burns can beat him. I don't think anybody else right now could beat him, but I think Gilbert Burns could beat him. I wouldn't count out Gamebred against Gilbert Burns or anyone. If he can land once, he can beat anyone in the division. Whitaker is next in line, deserves a fight. Agreed. But there's some guys I just don't think Jorge Masvidal is going to put out, and that's Gilbert Burns is one of them. And also with the worriness of the takedown, Derrick was so close to a title shot before he got KO'd by Robert Whitaker. He was close to a title shot plenty of times. Can Bilal Muhammad hang with the big boys at welterweight? Nope. I think Bilal Muhammad gets too much credit. Honestly, I'm not a big believer. I think he's a quality fighter, but I just don't think he's shown enough to be the elite of the elite right now at welterweight. I actually don't think he can beat anybody above him right now. Maybe Neil Magny. I think he loses to Chiesa. I think he loses to Masvidal, Wonderboy, Luque, Edwards, Burns, and so on and so forth. Have Till and Gastelum fought before? I don't remember. Yes, they have fought before. Darren Till fought Kelvin Gastelum at UFC 244. I was there live. It was a very close fight. I believe it was a split decision. Darren Till got the fight, but a lot of people thought Gastelum won that fight. Do you play UFC games? I used to play them religiously. I love the THQ games, the UFC Undisputed. I don't really like the EA UFC games. Not a big fan. What about Wonderboy versus Gamebred rematch? I feel like now is the perfect time for it, but it's a bit of an fight. I don't really want to see it, and I don't think the fans are clamoring for it. So I don't think that'll happen. Plus, Jorge Masvidal is probably going to lose that one again. The first ever UFC fight that I watched was Clay Guida versus Diego Sanchez. Do you remember the first UFC fight you watched? I remember the first UFC fight I ordered. I don't remember the first UFC fight I watched. The first one I ordered was Rampage Jackson versus Rashad Evans pay-per-view. But the first fight I ever watched, I do remember the first fight I ever watched. It wasn't live, but I saw it on Spike TV. Vanderlei Silva versus Chuck Liddell was one of the first ever fights that I seen. I think it's the first fight I've ever seen. But Clay Guida versus Diego Sanchez, that was insane. I've seen that since. Hot take. I think we will see different Nunes at bantamweight. She hasn't competed at 135 in 2 years. Maybe we will. You know, she hasn't fought there in forever. Maybe she'll be drained going back there. Whatever happened to Devontae Smith? He hasn't fought since 2019. I have no idea. Most annoying fighter in your opinion? Most annoying fighter in your opinion? Off the top of my head, probably Conor McGregor. And probably because he gets babied by the media. I find him very annoying. Probably him. I think Conor McGregor. He gets away with so much. He's punching old guys in bars, and he's just annoying as hell. Answer this in the chat. Everybody who's watching, answer in the chat. Who do you find to be the most annoying fighter? I'm genuinely curious who you guys all find annoying. I really want to know that. Wouldn't mind seeing Bilal Muhammad at 155. I don't think that ever happens. Sean Strickland is so annoying. I don't pay too much attention to him, so I don't see Sean Strickland too much. I think there's a lot of annoying fighters. In the case where Till versus Gastelum rematch, both are on losing streaks, I wouldn't mind that. I think that's a great idea. I would love to see it. The first fight was competitive, wasn't super exciting, but it could get one of them. The UFC likes to match up losers with other losers. So we could see them get matched up, and then at least one of them could get back on a win streak. I think Colby doesn't deserve a title shot. He's not beat anyone in the top 10. I agree, but I have no problem with it because he's not skipping over top of anyone else. Nobody in the welterweight division right now unequivocally deserves a title shot. So even though I agree with you that Colby doesn't deserve one, nobody else does either. So I don't really care. They could have picked a name out of a hat. And I love the matchup, just because the first fight was so competitive. Yep, in that case. I already read that. First UFC fight I ever watched was, I think people are going to answer that for you. The first ever UFC fight I watched was Diaz Lawler 1. One of my friends showed me it when I was like 8, and I was stunned. What's crazy, and I'm going to talk about this in my preview, but when Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler fought for the first time, I was only 11 years old. How crazy is that? You think Leon is going to take the Masvidal fight even though he claims he's fighting for the title next? I don't think they'll give it to him because he doesn't have a big name on his belt. I agree with you 100%. I think it's possible he takes it, but I don't think Jorge Masvidal is going to want it either. So I think the UFC is going to have a hard time booking that fight. The first UFC fight I watched was Anderson Silva versus Rich H. Franklin back in 2008 on an episode of UFC Unleashed that used to come on Spike. He Muay Thai clinched him to death. Now Sean O'Malley more annoying than Conor. Sean O'Malley is super annoying. Oleg Takatorev versus Tank Abbott. I think Conor's annoying as a fuck too. Yeah, I think a lot of people. Khabib is the most annoying fighter by far. He's been making a lot of headlines recently. Sean O'Malley, Kevin Lee, McGregor, Strickland 2. Been watching MMA since 2008. First MMA promotion I ever watched was WEC. Misha Tate because I think she could actually beat Nunes, which is annoying, stupid, and deluded. Yeah, she ain't beating Amanda Nunes, especially at an advanced age now. McGregor's the most annoying. If they book Till versus Gastelum, then Kevin Holland should get Uriah Hall if his next fight. Yeah, I agree. Now that we've talked about most annoying fighter, who is your guys' favorite fighter, whether it be to watch or just your overall favorite fighter? Everybody answer that in the chat. I'm curious, who you guys love. For me, I love Robbie Lawler. I loved Anderson Silva was one of my favorite. Uh, I love watching Jon Jones. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. So I'm curious, who are your guys' favorites? Jose Aldo is another name that comes to mind. Max Holloway. If they book to okay, I read that. So you're 20. Yes, I'm 28. I'm 28 years old. The annoying fighter, in my opinion, is Sean. Yeah, Sean is super annoying. Been watching the UFC since 2009. That's around the same time I started watching, 2009, 2010. He says Tony Ferguson is his favorite. Justin Gaethje is his favorite. My old favorites are Bas Rutten and Wanderlei Silva. Wanderlei Silva back in the day with the stare downs. Is just crazy. My favorite fighters to watch are Luque, Yuri, and Jan. I love Petr Yan. I have a Petr Yan autograph sitting right next to me. I'll post that. I think I might have already posted that on the members only tab on the channel. So if you guys want to go check that out, you can. But Derrick Lewis and Tony Ferguson are top for me for his hilarity, and Tony for his weird and exclusive fighting and attitude. Vicente Luque's been beast lately, so he's my pick. Yeah, Vicente has looked very, very good. I love watching Yuri Prochazka. I know he only has 2 fights in the UFC, but Yuri Prochazka is an absolute beast. I mean, the way he walks forward with his hands down is just incredible. Most annoying is definitely sleepy Conor McGregor, but I like Anderson Silva and Tony Ferguson. Max Holloway all day. I like Eddie Wineland back in the day. Favorite, P. Yan, Habib, McGregor, Izzy, Whaley, Shevchenko, Wonderboy 2. I love me some Rose. She's always beating the odds, and that's what I like because I'm the same way. She never hides her problems. She's freaking adorable. I cried when she beat Zhang. I picked her in both Rose Namajunas' fights, or both Joanna and Jacek's fights. I picked Rose in, but I picked Whaley. in that fight. I should have stuck with it. Oh yeah, Yuri is amazing too. He's cool as well. Would love to see him fight for the belt one day. I think he will. I'm curious of what Chris Montigno can bring. So he's my dark horse pick. I'm curious, very curious too. There's a lot of fighters. Right now there's just a plethora of fighters. Two you can love to watch fight. I mean, Israel Adesanya, I love watching him fight. Kamaru Usman, I love watching him fight, even though he gets a lot of shit for being supposedly boring. All his fights are super exciting, in my opinion. He knocks out Jorge Masvidal. I also love watching Charles Oliveira. I'm sad that we haven't seen Jon Jones fight in so long. How can you not? There's so many guys. Time and time again, you can say, oh, this guy or that guy. Francis Ngannou's becoming one of those guys. Brandon Moreno's becoming one of those guys. There's so many great fighters right now in the UFC. We got a plethora of them. By the way, guys, thank you for joining me for this chat. I do these every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So in the future, you guys want to come back 6 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. 99% of the time, that's what I aim for and try to stick to. So keep the questions coming. We'll go as long as we have questions. As long as we continue to have questions, I will continue going. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, go subscribe right now. That's the only way to participate in the chat. Because of trolls, there's a setting on YouTube. You turn it on. Only subscribers can send messages in the chat. So if you go subscribe right now, within a minute, you'll be able to post a message in the chat and ask any questions you want. I'm building a community here. We're having a lot of fun. It's a great MMA community where we're not all screaming at each other casuals when you have a difference of opinion. I know this might be dumb, but Ferguson versus Holloway, that would be insane. Ferguson versus Holloway would be absolutely insane. But I don't know if I'm ready to put Ferguson through that. His age, already on a 3-fight losing streak. Jon Jones' last fight was February 2020. There are just way too many good fighters. If I had to make a list, I'd be sitting there until tomorrow. Agreed. I know we don't like the casual word in this chat, but if you're saying Kamaru is boring, something is wrong. I agree. If you say Kamaru Usman's boring, then you're not watching the fights. 261 or 268, which one do you think will be card of the year? It's hard to beat 261, especially the way it played out. But on paper, I believe UFC 268 is the greatest UFC fight card of all time. But you never know how the fight card might actually turn out. By the way, Joey, when's the Insta going to be up? I will try to do it tonight, man. People keep asking me about the Instagram. I will try to get an Instagram for MMA Joey up tonight, or bare minimum this week, before the weekend. I'll try to do that for you. I think it'd be fun, and maybe the first few people who follow me on Instagram will I'll follow them back on there too. Didn't Dustin P come from WEC? I don't think so. Korean Zombie versus Garcia in WEC was a fight that made me an MMA fan. I watched the fight when I was 9. So it's funny you say that, because I've answered this quite a few times, but I'll tell you guys the story as well for anyone in here who hasn't heard it. The fight that really got me to full-fledged love MMA, that like sealed the deal that I'm watching every fight from here on out, was Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen 1. Because the fact that Chael Sonnen came out there and beat the brakes off of Anderson Silva for 4.5 rounds, and then Anderson Silva to lock up that triangle choke at the end of the fight, was absolutely incredible. And ever since that fight card, I just started ordering fights right around that time. Ever since that fight card, I think I ordered every single fight since then, or at least watched every single fight card since then. Very long question. Who do you think becomes the champ at each weight class by the end of 2023? Man, that is a tough question. That is that's too far away, man. There could be people who aren't even in the UFC yet that could be the champion. But I'll do my best. How about we change it end of 2022, by the end of next year? I think the end of next year, flyweight, I'll say Cody Garbrandt's the champion. Bantamweight, I think Jan is still the champion. Featherweight, I think I'll say featherweight somehow. I'll say Volkanovski's still the champion. At lightweight, I'll say Islam Makhachev's the champion. At welterweight, I'll throw a wild card. Khamzat Chimaev's champion. At middleweight, I'll say Israel Adesanya is still the champion. At light heavyweight, I'll say Yuri Prohaska is the champion. And heavyweight, I'll say Cyril Gane is the champion. But that's a tough question. That's a very tough question. It's so hard looking that far out. But I'll have to put more thought into that eventually. I was at Jon Jones versus Reyes in Houston, Jones versus Santos in Vegas. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I've been to Jon Jones versus Glover Teixeira at UFC 172. I went to Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal in NYC. And I also went to Alistair Overeem versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik in DC. It was a fight night. I think Ferguson beats Holloway. I do not think that. I think Holloway beats him. It's going to be too much for him. I honestly just love MMA and the UFC. It's such a cool hobby to have. I know. And since I started this channel, it's made me love it even that much more. Because being able to really, have all these people on here to really have discussions. You guys are commenting your opinions. It's made my love for the sport grow even more. And I think also that's another thing that's really helped my channel is, if you don't really have a very strong interest in the topic that you're talking about, people can tell. And you guys can tell that I truly care. When I see a fight coming up, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. You can tell how excited I am, which I think translates and makes it more fun to watch the videos. Tony should move up a weight class and fight top welterweight. Yeah, I don't want to see him fight a top welterweight because you know what Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns would do to him? I wouldn't mind seeing him fight at welterweight, but it's got to be against... Maybe give him the Kevin Lee rematch. I wouldn't mind seeing the Kevin Lee rematch. That's a winnable fight. I have a favorite fighter from each division. Maybe even 2. I just love MMA since 1992. That's crazy, man. If I had to give my favorite... Let me give my favorite fighter for every division. And if you guys want to chime in what your favorite fighter from each division is. From flyweight, my favorite fighter has to be Brandon Moreno. Just the way he came on and, his personality and everything like that. He just seems like such a great guy. And seeing him so happy to win the belt, I have to be a big fan of Brandon Moreno. How can you not love that guy? For bantamweight, my favorite fighter has to be Jose Aldo, with Jan being a close second. I love Jose Aldo, always have, always will. For featherweight, Max Holloway has to be it. I love Max Holloway. Such a great guy and a great fighter at that, and a fun fighter to watch. I just, how can anybody disagree with that one? For lightweight, I really like Tony Ferguson. I've been on the Charles Oliveira train for a couple years now. Before he even beat Kevin Lee or anything like that, I was a big Charles Oliveira believer. So even though he's champion, so it seems like I'm riding the champions. He's probably my favorite fighter at lightweight. For welterweight, it used to be Jorge Masvidal, but he's kind of changed up ever since he got a little bit of, notoriety. Right now, my favorite welterweight is probably Gilbert Burns or Usman. My favorite middleweight has to be Robert Whittaker, and I also like Adesanya quite a bit. Even though I wasn't the biggest believer in Adesanya to begin with, I still do. Light heavyweight, gotta love Jiří Procházka, gotta love Jan Blachowicz. So many great names at light heavyweight. Heavyweight, you gotta respect Stipe Miocic, Cyril Gane, and Francis Ngannou. Women's strawweight, definitely Rose Namajunas or Weili Zhang. Women's flyweight, Valentina Shevchenko. Women's bantamweight, it's got to be Amanda Nunes. Got to be, even though it sucks picking so many champions. Women's featherweight, non-existent, so I can't really pick a favorite out of the women's featherweight. Okay, Conor McGregor will be the champ by the end of 22. He will hold the lightweight, welterweight, and middleweight titles. I agree with you. I think that'll happen. Colby's best chance to beating Usman is use lateral head movement, mix up the clinch work with striking, and his defense is on point and watches for the right hand. Is it fair to say? I think he has to try to mix in the grappling. I don't see him going in there and outstriking Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman has a great gas tank. He has knockout power, as he's shown. And I just really think he has to mix it up and really, try to use every facet of the game. I think kick the legs hard. Kamaru Usman has very skinny legs. Clinch him. I don't know if he'll be able to get him down. Dirty boxing. Wear on him. He has to try to wear him out, but I don't think it happens. My personal list: Askar Askarov, Jack Shore, Holloway, Arman Sarukian, Vicente Luque, Adesanya, Rakic, Gane, 2023. Thank you, man. Thank you for answering that question as well. After what Holloway did to Cater, I don't want to see him against anyone. Very true. That was a brutal beatdown. It's hard to believe that was almost a year ago at this point. The UFC has got me over a breakup. I'll never stop watching the UFC. I love watching MMA in general. I wish I would have started this channel years ago, to be honest. What up, Joey? What's going on, Josh? I hope you were doing well, Josh. Good to see you in the chat. It's been a little bit. Thank you so much for being a supporter of the channel. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll go as long as we have questions here. I feel Giga will be champ soon. I think Giga Chikadze could be champion in the next year or so. He looked very, very good against Edson Barboza, and I think he could compete against anyone. 155, Gaethje. Yeah, I mean, how can you not like Gaethje? Your favorites mirror mine up until 155. Who are you at 155? Maybe I already missed it, but who are you at 155? John Rod, what's going on, my friend? 125, Moreno. 135, Aldo. 145, Holloway. 155, Ferguson. 170, Nate. And Nate's not really a 170. 185, Till. 205, Procházka. 265, Lewis. What's ironic is Lewis last fought on UFC 265. Heavyweight, Derrick Lewis. Light heavyweight, Yuri. Middleweight, Kevin Holland, sorry. Welterweight, Hamzat. Lightweight, Charles Oliveira. Featherweight, Max Holloway. Bantamweight, TJ. Flyweight, Figgy. Not like McGregor will actually defend those belts. Yeah, Valentina could hold her own with the majority of 135-pound men up until the top 6. Probably. You should top 10 list like top fights of all time. fighters, pay-per-view, knockouts. I think what I'm going to do also at the end of the year, I think I'm going to do like my favorite fights of the year, favorite finishes of the year, best fighters of the year, stuff like that as well. I have so many video ideas, I just don't have enough time to do them all. Especially UFC 266 coming up. I'm going to be pumping out prediction videos left and right very, very soon. We'll actually talk about all the ones, all the fights on that card. Is Hendo the most underrated fighter of all time? Only Pride double champ, UFC tournament champ, epic KO over Bisping. I don't think he's most underrated, but I think he is underrated. I think he is underrated though. That knockout of Bisping. I actually have an autograph from Dan Henderson on the picture of him jumping down for the follow-up punch. I will post that on the members only section of the channel today. As soon as this live chat's over, I'll post that on the members only. So if you're a member of the channel, make sure you go check that out after the stream is over. I'll post a picture. It's actually like leaning up against the wall over there. And if you're not a member, go become a member. The link is in the description. No doubt, Masvidal claims he's going to fight for the title again. Yeah, as unrealistic as it sounds for the time being, how do you see him fighting for the strap again and against Till? So I actually did a video, and I'll sum it up for you. I posted a video that said Jorge Masvidal is one fight away from a title shot. And that sounds crazy, but the reason he's one fight away from the title shot is because if Colby Covington somehow beats Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal wins a fight between now and then, the UFC is going to match them up for a title. Khabib was Gaethje now with Islam right there too. The MMA Joey Awards. What's your fight and round of the year? Whew. Off the top of my head, okay? This is just off the top of my head. It's hard for me to remember all the fights. Right now, it's got to be Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. But it was weird because the round 1 was dominated by Chandler and round 2 was very short, so I can't pick a round. I loved Yuri Prohaska versus Dominic Reyes, another great fight. But that's just right off the top of my head. That's right off the top of my head, guys. H-bomb. Yeah, the H-bomb, it's crazy, man. That H-bomb was just absolutely incredible. I think he actually made that into a logo. Apparently, people tweet that to Bisping all the time still. X out of all these. Let me pull up UFC 266 real quick. Guys, I'm definitely going to be streaming on Saturday for the UFC fights in Bellator, but sometimes I do a stream on Fridays. If I'm not doing anything and I have time, I'll stream on Friday night. So, guys, look out for me on Friday night as well. Oliveira versus Chandler, round of the year. Got to see a rematch. I love that fight. I'm trying to think of some of the other fights. What were some of your favorite fights of the year so far, guys? Put it in the chat. I'm curious. So UFC 266 is only a week away, from Saturday. Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. I love that fight. I can't wait to do a prediction video for it. Man, that's a hard fight to pick. You have Ortega, who has ever improving striking. His jiu-jitsu and his submission game is top notch. Then you have Volkanovski, who's so well rounded, so big, so strong, so technical, amazing leg kicks. 2 wins over Max Holloway, a win over Jose Aldo, a win over Chad Mendez. That's a tough fight to pick. I can't wait to break that fight down and give my prediction for that fight. Then you got Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy. Valentina Shevchenko is going to probably destroy her. Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz. That's a very nostalgic fight for a lot of people. And I think that, it could turn out to be an amazing fight, but it also could be lackluster. So I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. Curtis Blades versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik's on the card. Love that fight. I'm curious, can Curtis Blades get him down, control him? Can Jairzinho Rozenstruik get another buzzer beater KO like in the Alistair Overeem fight, like in the Augusto Sakai fight? Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. Marlon Moraes versus Merab Davishvili. What I'm probably going to do, if I have the time, I'm probably going to do prediction videos for Marlon versus Merab and Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo and release them on, maybe tomorrow and Friday if I have time to record them. And then hopefully like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, I can release all the rest of them. There's so many fights. And then I'm going to do an individual video. And then of each fight, and then I'm going to do one video with all the fights and just do a quick breakdown of each of them. So if you just want to watch the one video where I do the whole card, you can. But if not, you can watch individual breakdowns of each one. My favorite fight of the year was Santiago Baiza. Round of the year for me was Woodley Luque round 1. That was great. Yuri Reyes round 2 was another great fight. Baeza, yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Okay, Yuri versus Reyes was fight of the year, and second round was round of the year. It was an incredible fight. I'm a huge Edwards fan and hope that he wins against Masvidal, but Leon is straight bugging if he thinks that Dana and the matchmakers are going to give him a title shot. He's already declining the fight. Yeah, that fight seems like it's just never going to come together. I would not doubt if we never get Jorge Masvidal versus Leon Edwards, guys. Colby somehow beats Usman. Whaley, KO, Rose, Chandler KOs, Gaethje. Those things alone, how I think UFC 268 will beat 261. That would be insane. If Whaley KOs Rose, that would be insane. Kenny versus Carl Uberg was a banger. Agreed. Moreno winning that belt got me all emotional, man. Straight up. I was so happy for him. Not the fight of the year at all, but one of my favorite moments. Agreed 100%. That picture of Brandon Moreno just smiling from ear to ear. I mean, how can you not be happy for the guy? How are you at MMA Guru? MMA Joey, my friend. MMA Joey, my friend. Agreed about Moreno. True or false? Valentina is going to dance over Lauren Murphy after she is left unconscious. I'll say false. I say she submits her probably. But I might change my mind on that. She submits her and then she dances. My favorite fight of the year was Bobby Green and Oh Boy. Who's Oh Boy? Who's Oh Boy? Is that Fiziev? Fiziev? Guys, keep the questions coming. I will go as long as we continue to have questions. I pretty much talked about everything I put in the title and in the description. To talk a little bit more about Nate Diaz versus Vicente Luque, I think there's a good possibility it does happen. But at the same time, I don't know if the UFC is going to want to do that because Nate's probably going to get demolished. But Nate likes to fight guys who aren't getting enough shine and are absolute savages. So I have to respect Nate so much just because of the guys that he's willing to fight. And he's calling these guys out. He could fight lesser guys, but he chooses not to. And it's just absolutely incredible, the names that he's picking out. He's not a guy that's dodging fights. And who knows, Nate may sit out and he may not fight until he fights Conor McGregor. He could fight Conor McGregor upon his return. He really could. So, no, I'm not even going to bother doing that right now. Bobby Green constantly getting robbed. Bobby Green has gotten robbed quite a bit. And the fact that somebody called the round 3 against Fiziev a 30-27 for Fiziev is absolutely disturbing. Bobby Green clearly won the third round. Gaethje versus Chandler, fight of the year contender, without a doubt. It may only last one round, but it may be the fight of the year. Bobby Green, okay, I already read that. Best post and before fight celebration. I don't know about any before fight celebration. Post celebrations, Gaethje does the backflip. Valentina does the dancing. I love Nate Diaz's celebration after beating Conor McGregor. When he posed, and he's all bloody, and he looks dead into the camera, like this right here, like the emoji for being a member of the channel. When he did that, I was sold. I love that. I love that celebration. Look, Tiramisu was ready to fire the emoji up right there too. That was a great celebration. I love Khabib jumping out of the cage. That was one of my favorite celebrations. As far as before a fight, I don't remember any before fight celebrations. I don't know what you mean by that. Riddell versus Fiziev is going to be a banger. The matchmakers deserve a kiss for setting up Brad Riddell versus Rafael Fiziev. Oh my God, I love that fight. That matchup is amazing, man. Without a doubt, Brandon. Without a doubt. I cannot wait. That's literally what MMA is made for. Those two guys going against each other. Riddell is going to 10-8 him in the third. Yeah, Fiziev definitely has to work on his cardio. His cardio left a lot to be desired in that third round. So Brad Riddell has good cardio. Could check it out on stream. If yeah, I'll share it to your Twitter. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead. Check it out. Send it to me. I thought you meant when Khabib jumped off after Dylan Dennis for a second. That's what I was talking about when he. There's multiple when he jumps out. He jumps out and hugs Dana that one time, but I was talking about when he jumps out after Dylan Dennis. That's what I was talking about. I have that pictured autographed. I have a picture of Khabib doing the pointing. You know, remember when he's pointing at the end of the round or end of the fight? And Connor's in the background just breathing heavy, leaning up against the cage. Not doing this. This was in Dustin Poirier fight. Here's the meme. Let me see.
Just in, folks, we have found a big fucking idiot.
Conor McGregor will be the champ by the end of 22. He will hold the lightweight, welterweight, and the
What an idiot, am I right, guys?
Dilcor, that's funny, man. Now you're making me look like I said that. I was reading that, man. Oh, that's funny, man. Johnny Walker hasn't been the same since injuring himself with the celebration. That was so stupid. That was so stupid. Why is he flipping around like that? Bobby Green reminds me of Masvidal. Yeah, very underrated. Very underrated for sure. Bobby Green is a guy who sometimes he looks like a absolute world beater, and other times he looks like trash. So he's very similar to Masvidal. Team City kickboxing all day. Jones Tony voice. Agree. Okay, okay. Nate almost KO'd Leon in the last minute of the fifth round after getting beat. Top what the fuck moment of all time for me. I actually posted a video after that, and I said it was the title of the video was Nate Diaz took everything Leon Edwards worked for at UFC 263, and for the OGs and the people who are really in tuned, Nate Diaz said that about Conor years ago, and the reason I said that is because after Nate rocked him, I knew it was over for Leon. Nobody was going to talk about anything. Nobody ever talked about that fight at all, other than Nate Diaz almost finishing him in the fifth round. That's it. He took everything. No one. When you think about Leon Edwards right now, the first thing that comes to mind is Nate Diaz almost finishing him in the fifth round. Braga hits too much to bang with Rafael. It doesn't go past 1.5 rounds. Okay, we'll see. I think it's a great matchup. I would love to see how Brad can contend with the amazing kickboxing of Fiziev, and I'm curious how Fiziev does if it goes 3 rounds. If Usman and Dustin both win, who wins the fighter of the year? Okay, I see what you're saying. I was starting to read that wrong, like almost like I had dyslexia. I'll go Usman. I think Usman deserves it. A win over Burns, a win over Burns, a win over Jorge by knockout, and then a win over Colby. Depending on how he finishes, I think that deserves more notoriety than 2 wins over a washed-up Conor McGregor. Does Paddy Pimblett drop down to featherweight and challenge Sugar Sean? No, Paddy looks huge. I don't think he's going down to featherweight, and Sugar Sean fights at bantamweight. So, are Leon and Rockets secretly chinny? I don't think so, but you never know. You never know, especially when you're not getting clipped. When Nate rocked Leon, I said to myself, "Oh my God, they better not make Usman versus Nate." It would have happened if Nate would have finished Leon. Mark my words. There's a reason that Usman versus Colby was not official until like a month ago, and that's because they were waiting to see what was going to happen with some of the other fights. I think Don could have gotten it if he fought Ngannou this year. Gon's been very, very active as well. If I had to say fight of the year right now, it's probably Usman. Yep, especially if he beats Colby at the end of the year. I'm trying to think who else has been putting on a great performance after great performance. Jan Blachowicz hasn't. Jan Blachowicz could the winner of Adesanya was big. If he beats Glover Teixeira, I don't think that's enough. Has he fought since he fought Adesanya or no? I can't remember now. He fought Adesanya at UFC 259. Has he fought anyone else since then? I don't think so. So there's no way he can get it, especially with fighting the limited amount of time that he has fought. I think, okay, my apologies. I had a brain dump about Sean being 135. Yeah, a lot of people, for some reason, people are suggesting that fight. But yeah, I don't think Sean isn't taking dangerous fights no matter what. If Diaz would have beat Leon, it would have been Nate versus Usman in MSG. Without a doubt, but only if they were willing to pay Nate. Because Nate knew what was going to happen in that. Could you imagine what Usman would do to him? He'd dump him on his head, break his neck. Usman would dominate Nate. And I love Nate Diaz. Well, all right, guys. It seems like we're out of questions. I think it's because Usman has a weird schedule. He delayed the Burns fight almost to July, then immediately fights Jorge, then takes a long layoff, similar to the cycle schedule. I don't know, man. He fought in February this year, then April, and then now November. So all those questions should be put to bed. But who knows? If Valentina and Amanda run it back, Amanda gets the win. I think either one of them can win. Either one of them can win. Usman will definitely get it if he wins. I agree. I mean, Valentina beats Amanda. I think it's a 50-50, but Valentina could have easily won both of the first two fights, without a doubt. If you guys have any final questions, throw them in the chat. I'm only gonna stay on here a couple more minutes. Seems like the questions are running out. We've talked about every possible topic. I'll probably do a stream on Friday, but I'm not 100% sure. But no matter what, I will be streaming on Saturday. Last couple thoughts. Follow me on Twitter. If you guys have Twitter, the link is in the description. Don't forget to like the stream if you haven't liked it already. Become a member of the channel by clicking the link in the description below. Great way to support the channel and get extra benefits out of the channel. And I think that's pretty much it. Also, you can buy a shirt if you want a shirt. The link is in the description as well. So last few questions. So if you want a question, throw it in there right now. Who wins Gane versus Ngannou? I'm going with Ngannou. I think Gane is more technical, probably has a better skill set, but Ngannou has the touch of death, and Gane gets hit a little bit too much. So I'll go Ngannou. I think Ngannou catches him and sleeps him. Do you think Nate knew he could have finished Leon if he didn't want to because he didn't want the strap and he wants Leon to have success in the UFC? I don't know, man. That's a conspiracy theory. I think he should have charged forward a little bit more, been a little bit more aggressive. Who wins, Jon or Yuri at 205? I think Jon probably takes him down and ground and pounds him and submits him. Leon versus Masvidal in London with Patty being on the card. That'd be awesome. I'd love that. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I want to shout out my boy Cody Land, who won BKFC Omaha this past Saturday. Okay. Well, I think that wraps up the stream. Guys, thank you so much for the support, and I will see you in the next stream. If it's not on Friday, it will be on Saturday for the UFC fights, and as well as Bellator 266, Phil Davis versus Yoel Romero. So thank you guys for joining me tonight, and I will see you later on.